answering them correctly based off the Edpuzzle. That's why I do Edpuzzle, so I can see if you're getting it as I'm gone. Okay, so some of you didn't do all of them, or you didn't finish, or you couldn't get on, or a lot of them were incorrect. So that's why I want to give another day where we're together and we're doing the same problems. I am telling you, radicals are important. Borrow a pencil, you return it, because I'm starting to get low on pencils. Okay, so something that I talked about on the video was that if there is no index, which is that like little piece inside the house, it really secretly means there's a 2. Okay, that's what the square root is. Hey, okay, the square root has an index of 2. Now, I know that you did radicals in the past, last year, but we're going to do like cube roots and fourth roots, and that's why it's now math 3. But let's do one that we're used to. We have to break down 512. Now, that's a really big number. So first, what I want you to do in your calculator is to see, is 512 a perfect square root? Do the square root of 512 in your calculator and see if it comes out nicely. If it doesn't, then we have to break it down. So let me know what you get when you take the square root of 512. What'd you get?
A decimal.
A decimal, so it's not. What do we know about even numbers? What number goes into every single even number? 2. So tell me what 2 and what number? Because you have to do, in order to get that, you do 512 divided by 2.
256.
256. Someone confirm that. We all need calculators.
Yes.
256? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, again, you can't really break anything down yet. Let's keep going. So, what number can go into 256 now? Thank you, you're the best. I don't know how you did that, but. All right, you let me know when you're ready. This is what I mean by like making sure that you're really actively participating, because otherwise you're not going to get it.
So what do we do?
What number goes into 256?
2, 6, 128.
Okay, so what's 256 divided by 6 that you said that doesn't work?
8.
Try it.
42.666.
Again, you have to find numbers that work. I'm looking for numbers that multiply to get 256. Thank you for putting that together for me. 64 and what number?
2.
64 and 2 is 128.
Wait, hold on. I know it's 64, right?
I think 64. Try it.
62 times 4. 64 times 4.
64 times 4. Oster got it.
Okay, so 64 times 4. This is where we are. Again, a lot of you like factoring, play the multiplication game where you're trying to do like 2 times what? Like 2 times 5? Like, just divide. If you had done 512 divided by 2, you get 256. 256 divided by 4, you get 6. You're just breaking it down. Remember on the video I told you to cross off things that you break down so you don't get confused. Now, it depends on who you are. Some people will be like, oh, I know the square root of 64 and I know the square root of 4. Like that could be you. Like if you're someone that's like, I know what the square root of 64 and 4 is, and you can do it, but I'm not going to do that because I feel like a lot of us don't do that. We break it down completely. Well, what does 64 break down into? What 2 numbers?
4 and 16.
4 and 16 or 8 and 8? And here's why I'm going to use 8 and 8. Because the index is 2, I'm going to circle groups of 2. That's why I'm going to use 8 and 8. Always try to find numbers that are going to be the same. The moment you have a pair, you can take it out. What about 4? 2 and 2. That cancels, and now I'm left with that. So if you notice, the only thing staying inside is the 2. Does anyone know why 256 broke down all the way? It's because it's a perfect square root. Okay, the square root of it is 16. Did I press the button? I did. Okay. So now let's talk about what this means. Let's go off to the side here somewhere in your interactive notebook, or if you have room. That 6 out in front is still going to be outside. So I'm going to put the 6 out front. Every single time that you circled a group, which I have 2 groups here, I'm going to write it out. So times 8 and times 2. The moment you circle something in this process, it comes outside the radical. Because I have a pair of 8s, it can go outside the house and play. But remember that 2 in purple is staying inside. That's where we are with the numbers. Now, here's a trick for you with radicals. If the index is higher than the powers, you can't take anything out, so m and m are going to stay inside. Okay, so the index is 2 because it's square root, but the powers are both 1 here, 1 and 1. So I can't take 2 out of 1. It's impossible. Okay, it's not going to work out nicely. Well, now we can just simplify this part right here. What's 6 times 8 times 2?
96.
Is it 96? And then you write everything else out. Okay, so the hardest part is really just getting those numbers. You circle the index. My index is 2. That's the first thing I told you guys to look at. That means I must have pairs. I need groups of 2. If the index was 3, I'd be circling 3. Okay, let's do it again. Let's do this one. 128. We kind of already did 128 a little bit. What 2 numbers go into 128? 64 and what? 64 and 2? Okay, I like that you use 64 because we know 64 is a perfect square. What 2 numbers go into 64 that are the same number? 8 and 8. So I'm going to cancel that. But now look, my index is secretly 2. So that means I circle when I have a pair. And everything else stays inside. So we're done with this number already. This is an easier one than the last one. Now let's talk about the m's. There's a couple ways I showed you. I think that it would be really annoying if you wrote all of them out, but if you have to do that, you have to do that. Because if I give you m to the 50th power, that's going to take you a very long time. But technically, this is m times m when I have 2. So for the sake of notes, I'm just going to do this. And again, here's my pair. N doesn't have a friend. He's alone. So now let's go outside the radical. This negative 8 is still outside. He didn't go away. I have another 8. I have, the 2 stays inside. And I have an m. So everything you circle, it comes out. I circle, it comes out. What I underline stays inside the radical. So I have a 2 and an n. Well, then you just simplify. What is 8 times 8? Good. So good. And then the negative goes with it. Very good. My final answer. Now, technically, if you have an even index and an odd power result, you would need absolute value signs, but I'm not going to really be asking you that. I know I went over that in the notes. If you have an even index, which I do, it's 2, and an odd result, they have absolute value. I'm not going to mark you off on the exam if you forget them, but it's good to know this, that you cannot have negative powers of negative under the radical. That's why we have to put those in there. Okay, again, we're just reviewing what we did on Thursday. Is there any parts of 1 and 2 you'd like me to go over?
What is the right things in the answer?
So this is your absolute value, which means always positive. So that means that what that's telling me is that I can't have negative numbers under the radical, which is true. That's why we have to have that. Because when it comes to odd powers, if I plug in -1, I'm going to get -1, and I can't produce a negative number when I take a radical of something. Again, I'm not going to make you memorize that and have you do that, but mathematically that's the most valid answer. Yes? Uh-huh. Yeah, so the 6 came from here, the 8 came from here, and the 2 came from here. Yep. So the moment you circle or you find a pair, it comes out. Let's do it again, but now look, a little different. Our index is 3. So instead of circling 2, I have to circle 3. Because in order for it to be a perfect cube, it has to have it 3 times. So let's talk about this. What 2 numbers would you like to break 24 up into? Okay, so let's do 6 and 4. Okay, there's not a group of 3 there, so I have to keep going. So until you get a group of 3, you should keep going. What does 6 break up into?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. I'm going to cross the 6 out just for the sake of procedure. I'm telling you it'll help you out in the long run for being organized. Because some people will write the 6 in there when you already broke it down. But then the 4 breaks into 2 and 2. But now look, again, my index is 3, so I'm circling a group of 3. And this 3 right here stays inside. He doesn't have 3. There's no 3 musketeers here. He's alone. He stays inside the radical. Okay, a lot of people tend to do, they'll circle pairs, but the index is 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing this out. The -5 is coming from here, and that 2 is coming from here. Just going to start writing that out. Now, I'm going to show you a different way to do these variables, because some people, in my opinion, this is the way you should train yourself to do it, so that you don't have to write out, oh, there's 5 x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and circle and stay in. If you have to do it that way, then do it. Okay, so that's like the long way for doing the 5. Or you ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 5?
Once.
Once, right? Because there's only 3. I can't take out 2. That means there's 6 of them. So only one time. That's why I have x to the first power. Now, if I took a group of 3 out of 5, how many is left over? If I took a 3 out of 5, how many is left? If I took 3 x's away from 5 x's, how many is left? How many? 5 minus 3? 2. That's why there's this 2 inside that I underlined. I was trying to explain to you a way to do it without writing them out. So again, you ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 5? Only one time, because there's one group of 3. That's why we have x to the first. Well, if I take out one group of 3, I have 2 left over, and that's why they're inside. Or if that confused the crap out of you, you write them out. Either one works.
What about y? There's less y's than there are.
Yes, there are less y's than there are the index. That's why they stay inside. So, good observation here. Do you see how there's an index of 3, but there's only 2 in here? That means I can't take anything out. I can't extract any roots because there's only 2. I can't take 3 from 2. So my last and final step is really just to multiply. What is 5 times 2? Good. Don't forget that little cube root part. I know this is hard. Radicals are one of the hardest topics. Radicals and factoring. And that's why you'll see them next year in Math 098 because it's a college level course. Yes. Did I forget something? Oh, thank you. I forgot this 3 that I left inside. See? Sometimes I do that too. So I'm going to erase that. Cube root 3xy squared. Oop, right here. Okay, thank you. Okay. We're going to keep doing it because I want to make sure that you're understanding it. The more you do, the more you get better at it. Okay. Now, what is my index in this situation? What is a number that we have to circle? How many do I have to circle for my group in this situation? 2, because there's secretly a 2 here. If you forget that, remember it's not 1, it's 2. It's a square root. Okay, so if you need to write that in every single time it's not labeled, then do that. That means I have to circle pairs of 2. That's your first step, is to find out what the index is. Because if you don't know the index, then you don't know how many come out. Okay, what 2 numbers go into 72? 36 and 2. And you probably did that because it's even. Okay, so even numbers, like 72, you can divide by 2. Okay, so we got to keep going because we still don't have a pair. What 2 numbers break down 36 but are the same number? Yeah, 6 and 6. Okay, I'm doing that because the moment you have a pair in this situation, you can stop. I mean, you could keep going and do 3 times 2, but that just takes a long time. The moment you have a friend to go outside the house and play, you can circle it. The 2
Play. We can get out.
you play. Okay?
Go outside to play.
You go outside. There you go. Thanks. Maybe you're going outside to play basketball. I don't know. Okay? So, the 2 stays inside because he doesn't have a friend to go play one-on-one basketball or horse or whatever you play. Okay? So, I'm going to write out my numbers. The 7 is from this guy. And then I have one group of 6 that comes out. Now let's talk about our letters. Now this one might be easier. How many times does 2 go into 4?
2 times.
2 times, right? Or you can think of it this way. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And that's why I get x squared. It's easy when it's divisible, but it's not always going to be the case like the next one. And if you got stuck on that part, you can do x times x times x times x, and here's your two groups. I just proved it to you. Hate it. Okay, let's look at this next one. How many times does 2 go into 3?
Once.
Once. If you get confused, do 3 divided by 2 in your calculator, and you're going to get 1 point something. Yeah, 1.5. So that's why only 1 comes out, because I don't have a 0.5x, only 1 comes out. And then how many stays in? 1, very good. So I have that 1y stays in, and then don't forget about the 2. And if you need to break it down, if you're someone that really just likes to write them all out, please do that. And look, one group comes out, 1 stays in. And then you can ask again, if you're someone that needs to write them all out, please do that. I've seen people write like 50 Y's on a test and circle their groups. That's fine. Whatever works for you. I'm just trying to show you, so there's some people that can do the trick. It's up to you. Okay, now my final step is just to multiply what you can. What's 7 times 6? 42. And write everything else out. Now again, there's something that I'm not going to make you know, but I'm going to keep saying it during the notes. I start with an even index and an odd power result, and that's why this has the absolute value. So to be mathematically correct, that's how you would write it. I'm not going to mark you off if you forget them, but for your notes, I'm going to put that in there. When you have an even index and an odd power. All right, let's keep going here. Again, I'm just going to keep practicing. Now, okay, so I'm going to do 1. I'm going to do 2 more with you, and then I'm going to have you do 2. No, I'm going to have you do 1 for your homework, and you can start on that. Okay?
2, 1.
I'm doing 2. You're going to do 1 to get your homework, to make sure that you're understanding it. Okay, I want to do kind of a tough one. Let's do 7. Okay, what 2 numbers multiply to get 192? 96 and 2. Okay, again, what is my index here? I'm looking for groups of how many?
3.
Yes, 3. Okay, so I don't have groups of 3, so I'm going to keep going. What 2 numbers go into 96? What'd you say? 24 and what?
2.
24 and 2. Okay, the 96 is now gone. What numbers go into 24?
2 and...
What's 24 divided by 2? 12. Good. Okay, so look though. Here's a pair. It looks funny.
Hold on.
Here is a group of 3.
That's actually not it. I think it's... No, I checked and it's 4 times 24.
4 times 24?
4 times 24.
It is 4 times 24. Thank you.
Tommy.
No.
Hold up, Tony. What'd you do?
Erase, erase, erase. Hopefully you don't have a pen. Okay, let's go back. Sorry about that. So again, now we have 2 and 2 here. Cross that out. Apologize. I'll wait till you get all situated here. Now here's where it gets a little tricky when you have groups of 3, because it can be all over, and that's why sometimes I like highlighters. Up to you. But here is a group of 3. Yeah, they're kind of like off center from each other, but that's one group of 3. I have 3 2s. There is when we keep going. So 24 breaks down into 2 and 12. What does 12 break down into?
6 and 2.
6 and 2. And then 2 and 3. Okay, so yes, we broke down a lot. So I'm going to give you a second to make sure that you do exactly what I have. I highly recommend, I know that it's super silly, crossing out what you've already used. Because if you don't, I see it time and time again where someone writes the 6 up here, but then writes the 2 and the 3. Okay, cross off things that you're done with. Do I have another group of 3? Yep, right here. And this little 3 stays inside because he's alone. He doesn't want to hang out with anyone. So let's write this out. The negative is out front, so negative. And I have 1 two groups of 2. So there's 2 ways you can write it. You can write 2 squared, or you can just know that it's 2 times 2. What is 2 times 2? 4. So there's ways for you to skip steps. Like if we go all the way back up here, you could have just done, oh, I know 6 times 7 is 42. You don't have to write it out every single time. I'm just trying to show you for the notes. You could have done, I know 2 times -5 is going to get me -10. You could have done it that way too. I'm not asking you to write it out every single time like this. It's up to you and what works for you. So then, now let's talk about the variable. I'm going to write these all out for you, and then I'll explain the trick. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So how many groups of 3 do I have? 2. 1, 2. So I have x squared. And then there's just an x left inside. So let's go ahead and write what's inside. I had this 3, and I had the x.
Hey,
Yep.
question.
Yep.
If there was 7, because you have only 6 X's.
Yep. I have 7 x's.
Got you a surprise.
Thank you.
In case you wanted to go bring it.
Thanks. I'll put it by my window.
I like your one too.
Thanks.
Dale.
What'd you say?
No, there's only 6. You only wrote down 6 X's.
There's one right here. Hold on. There's one right here.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so now let me explain it to those that feel like I can get the trick. How many times does 3 go into 7? Twice. If you did 7 divided by 3, you get 2 point something. So that's why I have x squared coming out, because there's 2. Well, think. 3 times 2 is 6. Well, how many do I need to make 7? One more. And that's why I have 1 left inside. So that's like the trick, is saying how many times does 3 go into 7? Twice. Because 3 times 2 is 6. That's why the 2 comes out. And then I make 6, so I need 1 more, and that's why it stays in. Or you can write them out. There's 2 different ways that you can do it. All right, so I'm going to have you do one of them. I'm going to have you do 8 for your homework. The homework is odds. And your homework is to do the things that you didn't do on Thursday because you were confused. Okay? You have a lot of time. This is your time to ask. Yeah.
So we gotta do that worksheet and that worksheet?
If you didn't do the worksheet from Thursday, that's your fault, not mine.
What worksheet?
The worksheet, the homework
What
you
does
got.
that do?
So this is only 10 questions, so I'm giving you odds. That's it. And you have how long?
Oh no, I didn't get it. I had to go back.
Wait, is this, everyone's getting this?
No, I want you to do number 8 to get it. I want to see that you can do it.
Oh. Wait, I'm so confused.
Wait, pause. Everyone pause. You're doing number 8 to receive this homework assignment. It's okay. And 2, you were given homework on Thursday. If you didn't do it, now you have double amount of homework. That's your fault for not spending 3 days over the weekend and not do your homework. Or, I mean, that's not my problem. That's yours. That was your homework assignment. Okay? If you didn't do it, now you can make it up. This is only 10 questions. It looks big, but it's only 10. And I'm actually going to tell you the ones I want. I don't even like some of the odds on here. How's it going for 8?
I feel still I got the basic idea of it.
So you see how you're circling groups of 2? My index is 3, so I want you to go groups of 3. Yeah, be careful with the groups of 3. Write down 2 numbers.
Wait, this is my colors, like, for like the group that I play, I play
Huh?
I got
Okay,
1, 2,
24, you keep
3,
going.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 in my bank account. There it is, in my bank account.
What is 3 times 2?
Fine, I'll see Marvin's room. No,
You say you underline 2 things. Yeah, if you underline 2 things, you have to multiply those together.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you circle comes out.
7 o'clock on the
Yep.
dot.
That's good, you know, trust me, I'll give you
So
like.
what is, it's only 1
Yeah,
group of 2.
probably.
So it's -5
Eugene.
times 1, 2. Okay. And then whatever you underline goes out. So 3 times 2. 6. That's it.
He was on the.
See how you broke it down, crossed out?
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I'm gonna go over this one. You can actually not Well, 3 times 3 is 9.
Sabo.
So you're looking for groups of 3. I'm gonna go over this.
Oh,
I agree.
wait, so then you get the 2 twos and then the 3 and
What's the index though?
2.
What's the index of this problem?
Oh, the 3.
Yeah, so you want to circle groups of 3. Okay, so I want to go over this one because it's a little bit different. 6 times 8, I'm going to show you how I did it. Then I have 2 times 4, that goes away. This becomes 3 times 2, that goes away. Okay, I got to keep going. 2 times 2, that's gone. Now, here's where I saw when I was walking around. People are like, okay, cool, boom, boom. No, the index is 3. I highlighted it on the top. When the index is 3, that means I have to circle groups of 3, and this stays inside. Here's where I saw the error. Whenever you are dealing with inside or outside, you multiply. So inside the radical is a 6, because 3 times 2 is 6. And then negative 5 times 1 group of 2 is negative 10. Now, how many times does 3 go into 3? 1 time. So I just have V. Yes.
Can't you do it a different way though?
There's another way. What's the different way?
Well,
24
I did
times
it,
2.
like, with all the 2.
You absolutely could do a different
Yeah, I
way,
just
yes.
got-
Whatever you want to do. Yeah, and if you know it's the perfect cube, you can pull it out. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let me explain what the homework is. Question on this or homework? Okay. This one? That's the answer. Did you do it right? Okay, I'll have to come see. So, this, I'm going to select ones I want you to do.
Jessica.
So then
I thought you said odds.
I know, but I don't even like some of the odds that are on here.
I did 1.5 already.
I actually like the back page the most. You can cross off this whole entire second page. Because I really like this back page.
Wait, what am I crossing off, Miss Sarah?
And you can cross off 5 and 6. So cross off 5 and 6. Cross out. Cross
Cross out 7 through 14.
out 5 through 14, basically. 5 through 14. Cross out 5 through 14 and you have the rest. Because the back page is actually really nice. So you still have 10 problems. So 5 through 14 are crossing out.
I already did 5, so. Yeah, it's crossed out, so.
You can plus them. Let's see what happens.
You said you did your bag.
Wait.
So you see how you cross this out? Why was he crossed out?
I know.
So he's like, he's just here. So he comes with it, like he's
How
still
does he
staying
do it?
inside. So like, don't cross out unless you do the breakdown. Like, so that's why I had 3 times 2. It's the only reason you got it a little off. So the only thing is 3 times 2 gets you 6. Inside. So that, huh? Yeah, so like, 5's out here, but don't forget when you start something, it comes out. Most 5 done.
I got a coach on.
Everything is multiplication, yeah. Okay, so, again, start working on these problems. I will even like cancel out Thursday's homework if it makes you less stressed. Okay, so if you do just this, I will exempt you from Thursday's homework. I'm fine with that.
What's that?
What?
The,
Newton's law, Newton's cradle.
what is it? How you have never seen it.
well,
Yeah.
push goes through and goes out the other
Yep.
side.
It keeps coming back and forth and back and forth. It's momentum.
Does it
Please tell
stop?
me you've actually
It
seen
does stop, yeah. I do have something really cool I'll show you.
Hey, gravity stops it, that's why.
Stop, like this, then like this.
Hey, well, science was not best class.
Whoa.
Tommy, science was not best class.
8 2.
Well, you never seen that before?
And then I'm gonna write it down some more.
5 minutes.
It's like,
Okay, so then circle it through.
I thought it was supposed to last for a little while.
What?
I think we graduated, graduated
So 2
with
times
science,
2
when
is 4,
science
comes
grade
outside.
was 108.
And then 27. Remember, 3 goes into 27. Lots of time. Again, I'm excusing Thursday's homework if you do these right now. At least I'm working on them.
Hey, what goes into 27?
Okay.
Nice.
So how many times is 2 go? Oh, yeah. 1.
Dude, I'm trying to focus and all I hear is balls.
Yep. That's it. Yep. Yeah.
Tom, you didn't zero it. Tom, you know what you should do? Do a problem, like write something down, look it, write something down.
Oh!
How many times is
Hey, they don't hit balls before?
Yeah. Then, yeah, so B squared is 4. And then 1 more. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I wanted to see what was on. It happened again. That's what the stuff's on. Yeah, if your Ed puzzle is not working, we need to set that up now. So have your computer out while you're doing this. We can fix it because I'm hoping I'm not gone anymore. But if that ever happens, I move on.
That is awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome.
She snatched that.
That's addicting though. That should be a game.
Just a demonstration. Okay, so now it's gonna work because I'm standing here. It's okay. It happens.
They cost a
You know,
lot,
sometimes
too.
it's worse, sometimes it doesn't. It's fine.
Wait, what is that, coach?
Louis. Hey, MCM. MCM, I'm kidding.
Oh, hey, what was the thing? I used to go to the
Oh, I like the leather.
What?
I like the leather. Yeah. Fuse, play rip fuse.
Yes, it's super particular. Hi.
Johnny one.
I'm
So
getting
that's gone,
MCM.
right? Because you broke it down.
I guess.
And I want first of 2, so just circle root of 2.
Okay, retro.
Okay, and then that one stays inside. Yeah, great. So this comes out, this stays in.
3.
Yep. Then how many
Retro,
times
Jordan,
does 2 go to 4?
Yeah, I know.
2.
2 times, so I went squared outside.
American Eagle.
Draw your square root. And then what do we say was left inside? No.
3.
That's it?
Yep. Yeah. Again, it takes practice. It's not hard, but it's particular.
So if I got this, doesn't it equal to 6 or no?
2 comes out. That's why I got -10, right?
So 3 goes in there.
3 times 2, whatever you underline to multiply. So 3 times 2 is 6.
Yeah.
And then,
Because that's a 3.
yeah, so that's it.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
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 I have a question, right?
That and then times. I want water.
Can I
Agua.
Oh.
Oh, hydrogen.
Is anyone missing their
No,
left handbook?
Hey, you know Louis Vuitton, their cases are like 1,000 bucks. Do MCM or like another brand.
This one? So see how like you already have the pairs? You can just circle it.
It's like
Yeah, the moment you have like
little,
a pair,
like real leather.
you can circle it. So that one comes out completely. And then can I take any X's out? Can I extract any of them out? No. So then you have 10 on the outside, the X stays in the inside. There you go.
Wow, my battery's on low.
Good. I have the charger.
What goes in 32?
That's why we do extra math. This is why we're doing it.
So these two,
Yep.
since I think like
Oh,
this is.
hey.
Yeah, you
It's
just
not
leave
a
it that way,
weight,
yeah.
it's just a leather, right?
Yeah, if you pull everything out, you don't have to write a radical. Nick, do you need a charger?
Yeah.
What one?
I don't. I like those. I like MCM. Huh.
That's not that bad.
I know.
Thank you.
600 for a book bag.
It's not that bad.
MCM book bag.
Thank you.
Why don't you guys get a Supreme with that? What?
Hi, Abby. Is she here the whole time?
I was.
If you want to like put her on the Chromebook and she can,
Oh.
I actually know people that are doing that. Good students. The video will be up though, too. It's recorded. Hi. You ready for this madness? I don't think you are ready. It's Euler's disc for laws of momentum and motion. Kinetic and potential energy, anyone?
What?
Kinetic and potential energy
What's that?
from science?
Yeah, I failed science last year.
Why did you fail?
What?
science?
How do you feel?
Are you ready for this? I don't think you are.
Oh,
Hi.
hey, what's up?
How are you?
Hey.
Oh.
here today?
Ready?
Yeah.
One.
Hey.
Do you know who he is?
It gets even crazier. You just gotta wait. It gets crazy. Yeah, science in it.
Is it gonna be something?
It's just gonna get crazy. It's kinetic and potential energy. It gets.
Looks like you in the hallway.
I know, eh?
Oh.
That's cool. Damn, it goes faster?
It gets faster as it gets.
Oh, that's cool.
You put more than one on there and we'll stay.
I don't only have one, but
Oh, that's real keep cool.
still going.
You hear that going faster?
Crack those glasses.
That's actually cool.
Hey, so wait, so Stephanie's still holding on to Thursdays, right?
It's already spinning? Holy
I don't know. That's
What is it made out of?
metal.
It gets crazier.
What is it made out of? Metal?
Try staring at that for a while.
I could. Gets a little dizzy
hearing
though.
that.
Well, that's cool.
What is it? Just the gravity is what keeps it going? Is that it?
It gets crazier.
Does it stop?
It does eventually.
Hour later, it stops.
I know, honestly. Hey, staring into
I've never seen one of those.
It's like staring into a black hole.
They get crazier. Move.
Never even stared into the
What does it
black
do?
hole. Spinning, that's what it's doing.
But she says it gets crazier.
Yeah, it's getting faster.
But the laws of physics, it slows down over time.
Kinetic and potential energy.
Cool.
I know it's yours.
That's what I don't get. Why is it speeding up?
There's potential energy.
I know, I get all that, but like, laws of physics, if something has momentum, it's gonna lose momentum.
Because it's heavy. If you spin a penny like this, it'll just
It's
flop
gonna
down.
slow down eventually.
Oh,
Oh,
that's cool.
Miss
And it's
Sabo?
heavy. Feel it.
Yes.
Do I have to?
Oh, that's why. But it's heavy.
I'm dropping my.
It's not that bad.
I'm thinking something.
Hey, hold on.
I'm guessing,
Oh,
So do I just go there and tell him dropping it?
I'm guessing it's lead. Because usually lead is
Are you
better.
gonna take it?
See how slow I did it?
This is
Finger.
like that.
what up?
This is
It's
not.
literally just touching my
It's like
It's just going around your
I
finger.
got a 65 in here.
Like that.
Yeah, I know.
But that
We're
literally, you
pushing
have
it
no
down
homework,
and then-
it's all done in class.
Oh,
It's all project based, like how am I gonna buy a car? How am I going to, I understand,
want,
but
like,
like
you take a
finance,
loan?
Is it like taxes?
Right.
I did my taxes last week.
so I just heard it's a really easy class to take, but you can do whatever you want. Yeah, you just make an appointment with a counselor.
What else are you taking?
You can put any, yeah.
oh, well, I did one problem.
It's not gonna work.
I'm taking this like autos, electronics.
I'm gonna take autos.
I'm taking autos.
Contains both potential and kinetic energy. Potential energy is given to the disc when it's placed upright.
Trying to get the magnet on the screen.
All I hear is a bunch of science stuff going on, and I love it.
Oh!
Bro,
What happened?
I looked this stuff